Hey guys, welcome to our channel Code is Arcade. This is Ashank David, and in today's video, we are going to talk about bubble sort in C++. What is bubble sort? First of all, we'll understand that. Bubble sort is a technique, it's a sorting technique through which we can sort the numbers. Now, to sort the numbers, we need to have an array. Let's say we have an array of this numbers 45, 1, 32, 13, 26. So these are the numbers here in this are given array. Now I have to sort in this way that ultimately I'll something get as 1, 13, 26, 32, and 45. So smallest number first and the largest number at last. So in this case, we can apply bubble sort technique. Now there are multiple different sorting techniques that you will be learning in data structures, and we also will be creating videos on them. So stay tuned for that. But in this video, let's focus on bubble sort. So first of all, how this bubble sort technique works. So let us understand about that. So if I tell you bubble sort works on repeated swapping of adjacent elements. For example, we have these two elements as 45 and 1, right? So we have to swap these adjacent elements, whichever is smaller and whichever is greater on basis of that. Ultimately, here, bubble sort works on repeatedly swapping the adjacent elements until they are not in the intent order. That means if this one is smaller, then one should come here and then 45 should come here. Then we will check 45 with 32. Then we will check 32 with 13, like something like that will happen in this case. And ultimately we'll be sorting the whole array into final version. So let's quickly see how it is going to happen. Now, why it is first called bubble sort? Because the movement of the array element is just like moving of air bubbles in the water, where bubbles in water rise up to the surface. Similarly, the array elements in the bubble sort moved to the end in the each iteration. For example, let us first understand this properly with the help of an example. Like I have a array in this case of numbers 45, 1, 32, 13, and 26. So let's say I told you in bubble sort, first we check the adjacent elements. So let's start from these two elements. We are checking 45 and 1. In this case, we need to check if they are in order or not. Order in the sense that smaller element will come on the left and the right, bigger element will come on the right hand side. So because these are not in order, so we are going to swap them. So 45 will come here and 1 will go here. So 1, 45. So something like this happened in this case. So we have got a new array now, which has 1, 45, 32, 13, and 26. So this is our phase 1, guys. This is our phase 1. Then in this phase, 1 and 1 is already on its place. 45 is on the second hand side. Now in this case, we are going to compare these two adjacent elements. Now, because these are not in the proper order, so 32 will come here and 45 will go here. So 32 came here, 45 came here, and we have got a new array like this. So you can see how 45 is slowly moving to the end of the array while all the elements are getting moved to the left hand side, which are smaller than 45, because right now till now 45 is greatest among all of them. So that's why our ultimately 45 will slowly move towards the right hand end of the array. Now this phase is finished. Now we are going to, because 1 and 32 are in the right position, then we will be checking for 45 and 13. So now in this case 45 is greater than 13, so 13 should swap here, and 13 45 should come here in this case. So it should look like this. So 1, 32, then 13, then 45, like this, right? Then 26 is still there, so we got a new array. Now in the next thing, these two adjacent elements will be checked. In this case, we will be having a new array as 1, 32, 13, 45. See, 45 is greater than 26. So 26 will come here and 45 will go here. So we found 26 to be here and 45 to be here. Now after this, you can see we have got a new array, and this 45 have started from the very left hand side of the screen and left hand side of the array, and now finally it reached to its end position. Now ultimately in phase 1, 45 came from the most left hand side of the array to the right hand side of the array. This is how sorting happens. Each and every adjacent element is checked and it is moved towards the end of the array. So the greatest element is the at the end and the smallest element is the on the left hand side. Now we are going to start the second phase, and in this second phase, because right now all the elements are not properly um, sorted, still only 45 has been sorted and one has been sorted in this example. So we are going to fix this by going into second iteration, and I'll be copying the same exact last array here also. So 26 and 25, right? Now again, checking will happen between these two elements, and you can see that 1 and 32 are correctly there. That means 1 is a smaller, 32 is greater. That means 32 will still remain on the same spot, and there will be no changes happen. So same array will be present. Now in this case, next 32 and 13 will be checked, and in this case, these two will swap again because 13 is a smaller and 32 is bigger. So I am going to keep it like 1, then 13 will come here, 32 will go here, 26 and 45. Okay, so in this case, now we have got this array, and you can see that 1, 13, 1, 13, 32, and 26. So now these two adjacent elements will be checked. Okay, in this case, 26 is smaller and 32 is greater. So in this case, these two numbers will be swapped. So 26 will come here, 32 will go here, and 45 will come here. So you can see that ultimately 32 also got swapped. And at the end, we got this array, right? 1, 13, 26, 32, and 45, which is already sorted now. In this case, this is our correct answer. This is our correct array. We have finally sorted this whole array, and the smallest number came here and the largest number came here. So ultimately 1, 13, 26, 32, and 45 is the sorted array that we wanted. So this is how bubble sort works. I hope you understood this logic clearly, guys. How 45, which was here, was slowly moving to the end of the array like this, right? And this is how the logic is working in this case. Then once 45 came at the last point here, in the second phase, we started working with 32, and slowly 32 also came, and at the end, we got the result. So this is how bubble sort in C++, like bubble sort in general works. Now it depends upon you in which language you implement the code. So I am going to implement the code in C++. So in this case, I'll write hash include IO stream. Next, I'm going to write using namespace std. Okay. Then I am going to create a printing function which is going to print the array. So I'm saying int a, and in this case I am just writing the passing the array. I'm just declaring the array, and in the parameters of this I'm just going to print the array from this. So this is the basic printing function that is going to print the array. So in this case, because I'm going to use for loop, so for that I have taken int I, then I said for I is equals to 0, I is less than n, and I plus plus. Okay, what is this a of? This is the array that we are going to pass inside the print function so that it can print this array, and n is going to be the size of the array. So this when this array is being printed, it will the for loop will go till n, and it is going to less than n, and it is going to print the element one by one. That is why we are going to write here in this case c out a of I, and then we are going to print some spaces so that it prints the spaces between after each and every element is being printed. Okay, so this is a small print function for printing just the arrays, printing the elements of the array. And then here in this case, we are going to create another function which is going to do bubble sort. So in this case, we are saying void bubble. And in this case, we are going to pass an array. So I said a of this, and I'll say int n. Again, just like how we did for our printing function, In printing function, we pass the array, then we pass the size of the array, then we created a for loop, and then we printed the array. Similarly, this function is going to do the exact sorting part. That is the main thing that we need to do in this program. Okay. So how the swapping will happen? Let's write the logic of bubble sort. In this case, you just now saw this, that in we were creating the array. So this was the array, an array got printed, that was done by this print function for this array. Okay, now in the next case, see how we can do bubble sort. So we need to create two for loops, one for this first element and the another for loop for next element, and we will check if this element, this 45 is, so first for loop is going to be for 45, then second for loop, that is j for loop, will be for I for 1. So first element and second element. Then what happened is first element will be checked by the second element. If first element is greater than the second element, then swapping will happen. Otherwise, it will be the same. So we are going to write our logic as, in this case, I'll take three variables, int I, comma j, I for the first for loop, j for the second for loop for the second element. Then I'm going to take temp. Temp is going to use for the swapping part. Okay. So we created our first for loop. So for I is equals to 0, I is less than, it will again go to n. N is going to be the size of the array in this case, and I plus plus. Okay. And in this case, I am going to say in the body of the for loop, I am going to create another for loop. So nested for loop I'm using here because I need to check the second element also in the same array, right? So in this case, I'm going to create another array which is going to start from 0, sorry, not 0, I plus 1. Why I plus 1? Because I is going to start from 0. See, this, if I talk about this, see this 45 is what? It's, see, if I tell about what our index is, you already know about what our index is. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So 45 is sitting on the 0th index. So that is why uh, in this case, I is starting from 0. Okay. So when I is starting from 0, it will target that 0th index, that is 45. But when I say j I plus 1, in this case, j I plus 1, in this case, what will happen? It will start from the second index, that is 1. So 0 plus 1, that is first index, that is 1. So I will start from 45 and j will start from 1. I hope you understood this very well, guys. Okay. Next, in this case, j will start from I plus 1 and then it will go till j is less than again n and j plus plus in this case. Okay. So this is for the second element. And now in the body of j, I can check if a of I is, if a of I is greater than a of j. You mean to say that if a of I is greater than j, what do you mean? This 45 is a of I and this 1 is a of j. So if 45 is greater than 1, then we will write the swapping part. That means in this case, this is 45, this is 45, and this is what? This is 1 in this case. So we are going to write if I is greater than j, then the swapping will happen. So we'll take temp, which is already declared here. So I don't have to write in the temp. So I'm going to say temp equals to a of I. Then I'll say a of I equals to a of j. Okay. And then I will say a of j equals to temp. So we did the swapping. So if this 45 is greater than 1, then do the swapping. So swapping will happen. Correct? I hope till here this is very clear. This is for printing and this is for swapping. So till now, if the condition is true for me, it will swap. So this is the main logic of the bubble sort algorithm, right? Bubble sorting algorithm. In this case, we are going to directly swap. Now we need to execute our program. So let's create our main function. So I said int main, and in this case, I created one variable I, then j, and then temp. Okay. In this case, I will write int a of, let's say I'm going to create a array of 5 elements. So I said a of 5, and we'll pass the same numbers which I have taken in this 45, 1, 32, 13, 26. So I'm going to say here 45, comma, I'll say 1, comma, 32, comma, 13, comma, 26. Okay, so we have taken an array. Now we are going to calculate the size of the array, right? So in C++ or C programming, we use size of, right? But the thing with this size of is that we directly can't use size of and then pass the array like this, because we don't know the size. If this size is going to give this size into bytes, okay? This size of operator will give you the size of the element. So because see, 45 is what? It's an integer type of element. One integer is for 4 bytes. How many integer are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 into 4. 5 into 4, that means it is 20 bytes of array. So 20 bytes will be taken here instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. You understood my point, what I'm trying to say? This is going to take bytes. In this case, the array size is so this is going to be 20 bytes. Okay, 20 bytes will be taken. So I can't use just the size of a. I have to divide the size of by, I will say, size of a of 0. What did I do here? Why did I say a of 0? Because in this case, what is the size of a of 0? Size of 45 in this case is 4 bytes. You getting my point? This is 20 bytes. This is 4 bytes. So it will be 4 divided by 20 divided by 4 bytes, that is equals to 5. Correct? So 5 will be taken in this case. So ultimately, this is going to be 5. So n is going to be 5, which is the number of elements. I hope you understood, guys, what this is, what this line is doing, how the size of the array is being calculated in this case in my main function. I hope this is very much clear to you. So if you have any doubts, you can still post them in the comment section below, and I'm going to confirm your doubt. I'm going to solve your doubt. So don't worry about that. So the basic rule is that size of will give the memory size, that is 20 bytes in this case of this whole array. Why? Because one element will be of 4 bytes as integer by default. So how many number of elements are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this will be 20 bytes. So 20 divided by, I have just taken, I can write anything. I can write 1 also. I can write 2 also. I can write 3 also. I've just taken one element, and that size will be of 4 byte, correct? And that will be divided and we'll get the answer as 5. So ultimately the value of n will become 5 in this case, which is the size of this array, or the number of elements stored inside this array. I hope this is understood, guys. Okay, coming to the next point. Here we'll say cout, and I'm going to just print before swapping. Before swapping, I'll print the array. So let me print that array into the next line. So I'm going to say end L, and then see, I have created a dedicated function to print that array. So right, so I'm just going to call that function right here, print, and in the brackets I'll pass the array, which is a. See what happened is we passed an array, and this is the array a. So I pass the array, and now in the next is we have to pass n, right? So I passed comma n. N is the size which is being calculated from this, which is going to be 5. So ultimately a value is this array and n value is this number 5. I hope this is very much clear. So it will print the, before swapping, it will directly print the array, which is this. Okay, and after that I am going to say bubble, and in this bubble, what was the parameters here? Array and the size again. So in this also I will pass the array, comma, I'll pass the size as how we did in print function. You getting my point? And then I can just print cout. I'll say after swapping, I'll print that array into the second line. I'll say again print, I'll say a comma n. And in this case, what will happen? It will say First, it will print before swapping. It will print the array. So I'm going to write here, print the original array, and here this prints the sorted array. Okay. And it is going to print the array, and at last, because it is int main, so I'm going to say return 0. I hope this is very much clear to every one of you guys in this case, correct? I missed the semicolon here. Okay, right. I hope this is very much clear. So this is the program for bubble sort, guys. I will run this code. See, we have initially taken the 45, 132, 13, and 626. So it should first print 45, 132, 13, and 26. And after that, it should print first this. And at last, it should print 1, 13, 26, 32, and 45. Okay, so let's run this code and see. It says, okay, 1 minute. Okay, so let me just fix my code quickly. I'm just going to put slash n here. Okay, and I'm going to save it and I'll print it. You can see before swapping it says 41, 1, 32, 13, 26, right? After swapping 1, 13, 26, 32, and 45. So this is how you do bubble sorting, guys. I hope you understood this very well. I hope this whole concept is very much understood, guys. So this is just a print function to print the array. This is the bubble sort function to do the actual swapping part. So sorting has been done from there. And then inside the main function, we have written the executable part where I have written everything. I've created the array. I've calculated the size. I hope this is very much clear to you guys. Size of 20 bytes divided by size of 4 bytes. So it will be 5. So 5 will be taken, and then before swapping it will print, and then after swapping it will print. That's it, done. I hope this is very much clear to you guys. If you have any doubts, you can tell us in the comment section. That's all about this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this video, guys. And don't forget to press the bell icon so that you won't miss any future updates. So that's all about this video, guys. Thanks for watching. This is Ashang David signing off. I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. So there you go. Bubble sort.